Welcome, dear listeners, in the special broadcast brought to you by GCIS in collaboration with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Yes, it is our regular broadcast that seeks to heighten our understanding between the listeners of the community radio stations out there and the notion of the justice system in South Africa. You see, tonight we have a special broadcast as we conclude the Women's Month. We have a special broadcast. It is called, or it is entitled, Legal Aid or Free Legal Aid for Women. I'm not alone. I'm with someone who has a black belt in this topic. I'm someone who can address some of the topical issues around this in the middle of their sleep. Her name is Bongekwazi Balintulo. She's the candidate attorney working for the Legal Aid South Africa. We welcome you, Siswam. Please greet the listeners.
Thank you very much. Wow, what a welcome. I feel so at home already. Thank you everyone for tuning in. As already mentioned, my name is Bongwekazi Balintulo, and I will be assisting you today with giving you free legal advice. And I'm very honored to be part of this move by the government to get people in the know-how in terms of how the legal fraternity or world works, because a lot of people need legal advice and assistance, but they never know where to start. And it's a very big opportunity for us as Legal Aid South Africa to be here and tell you more about the services that we offer to you as a community. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. Just to get our listeners at ease. You see, if you say one is a motor mechanic, you ask them how was the day, and they will tell you, today I fixed so many cars. Now, just to indulge the listeners, how was your day like today? What did you do today?
Wow, I had a very interesting day. I was in court for most of today. It wasn't my office day. So as a legal aid attorney, you can either be a civil attorney or a criminal attorney. Right now, last year I was doing mostly civil. So that dealt with mostly family matters and all the civil matters, but we'll get into the differentiation later. So today I was mostly in court. So in court, it's where it's literally criminal matters, where we're assisting, whether it's theft, whether it's housebreaking, and there are trials that are being run. There are pleas where you have to also be taking instruction from your clients. Where you meet your client for the first time, they say they want legal aid, so you also have to explain how the procedure of legal aid works, how the justice system itself works, because some people just think when you get to court, that's it, the judge sits there or the magistrate sits there and says guilty or not guilty. But before you get to guilty or not guilty, there's processes that have to be followed. So I was within those processes today.
Guilty as charged. You see, I said she has a black belt. Listening from what she's saying, I think she has a first dan. Well, we call it first dan in karate terms. Beyond the black belt, that's what she has. Okay, Siswam, to kick the ball rolling and to try and assure our listeners, across the genders, that they need to relax, because the topic has to do with the free legal aid for women. Are you advising those that are not fortunate to be women to switch off or to go and do other things?
Okay, you have to understand at first that legal aid is open to everybody. Today, we are not strictly saying male people cannot phone. We're opening the lines to everyone, but because it's Women's Month, you know how these things are. We are not saying don't call as males. If you have a question, feel free to call. We will indulge everybody, but I need you to all to understand that legal aid is open to everyone. Just because the show is saying free legal advice for women, if you have a problem and you would like assistance, the lines are open for you as well. We are not restricting it to anybody or everybody. We are saying all of you are welcome.
Well, this is the only time where one supports a positive discrimination. At this point, I so support the positive discrimination against men. Women, please call 0800 1. What is the number? Karabo, what is the number? I think it's 0800 142 446. Yes. 0800 142 446. I'm joking. You men too, you can call. And now, Sisi Balintulo. Tell me again, what is the meaning of your surname Balintulo? Okay, don't worry. That is not a legal question. That is not a legal question. You know, I'm sure end of this hour would have articulated so much to the point that people would say, don't talk to me, let's talk justice. That would be the name of our program. Can you outline for the benefit of the listeners? We are talking to over 60, in fact, 60 community radio stations across the country. Just outline the objectives of tonight's programs. What is it? What is the scope? What is it that we want to cover? So that by the end of this hour, we'll look back and try and ask ourselves questions if we achieve what we sought to.
First and foremost, I would like you as the listeners to understand what legal aid is about, where we get our power to operate. Also, I would like you to feel free to understand also who qualifies for legal aid, to understand what we mean about the means test, how you can get hold of legal aid. That also we'll have to break it down, especially where the contact us. I'll give you numbers, I'll give you our Facebook pages, Twitter, and all of that information, but also give you an idea of how many centers we have, because I need you to understand that legal aid is not Gauteng based or Eastern Cape. We are actually a national organization. There are branches, I think they're plus minus 10 in most provinces. So
10 in each province.
Most provinces, wow. Plus minus.
Meaning that you have more than 5 branches in each province.
Yes, okay. I can confidently say I know here in Gauteng there are 10. In Eastern Cape I know there are 10. I'm not sure about Cape Town. But in most provinces it's round about 10. Okay. So we have a lot of branches. We're very accessible. So the main focus of today is to increase the accessibility of legal aid and for people to understand, because a lot of people don't understand that legal aid is free of charge. But we also need to qualify what I mean when I say free, because we are focusing on a specific group when we speak about legal aid. But we will break everything down as the show goes on. Of course, we have a whole hour.
I'll be very grateful, Siswami, if we break it down. For instance, you see, people would like us to believe there's nothing free. Mm-hmm. At times, I'm tempted into believing them. There's nothing free. Mm-hmm. You might not have paid it from your pocket as Lennox, but someone would have paid for that service. Maybe from time to time we need to qualify so that people begin to appreciate what they get, because again the tendency, people do not appreciate what they consider free. People don't appreciate the air that they breathe because it's free, but wait until they are told they have a few hours to live. They will go out and want to buy the oxygen. But okay, Siswam, let's talk about the nature of the services, legal services, so to speak, that do you have in mind when you talk of free legal services to women? If you can just come with 3 or 4, what kind of these services, so that we can put everything we're going to do in context.
Okay. Can I start by explaining how legal aid came about? Not the history per se, but how we are empowered and what how we operate. Can I start by breaking that down? Then I'll go into our services. It will make it a little more better to understand. Also going into trying to break down the issue of why I was saying our services are free.
You see, I told you guys, I said she has black belt. She's even asking herself questions, and she's responding to those questions. I like that. Please respond to that question.
Okay, in terms of South Africa, there's the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the country. So legal aid is empowered in terms of Section 35 of the Constitution that actually says the empowering provision for us states that all accused, detained persons have the right to a legal practitioner at the expenses of the state. So now that covers what we were saying we're free. When we say our services are free, it means you as an individual do not pay for the services of legal aid. However, legal aid is a government entity, so we get our money from the government, and National Treasury is the one who determines how much we get in terms of the budget and all of that information. So I, as Ubongwekazi, cannot in any circumstances say, okay, today I'm doing a trial for Lennox. I will decide that today I will charge him this much. I am not allowed. It is not, there is no justification for that. You apply for legal aid at our offices. Legal aid is granted at our offices, and you are told from the word go that the services are free. So no practitioner should ever charge you for the services, because the government actually subsidizes our offices and to run for free. So that's our empowering provision. But besides that, legal aid is established in terms of the Legal Aid South Africa Act of 39 of 2014, which actually sets out our mandate, which is to provide legal assistance to the indigent persons who cannot afford their own legal representation. Now, what do I mean about indigent persons? That is just to say people who are, these days they call it previously disadvantaged people. So that is a very open statement, but that would include people who are unemployed, women, children. It's a very broad category of people that our services seeks to that we seek to offer our services to.
Now, before I'm confused, your services are free.
Yes.
Lennox has or is having or is in conflict with the law, and Lennox comes to you and say, look, I might have harmed Karabo, and I suspect he's going to lay charges against me. I come to you and say, please represent me. I don't have to give you a cent. Now, tell me, why would other people go and pay the kind of fees we know the attorneys and the advocates will charge if you have this resource?
Remember, I said legal aid is for the previously disadvantaged people.
Okay.
So that means there is a way to limit the people that we offer our services to.
Or there's a threshold.
Yes.
If you earn certain amount of money.
Yes. So
okay.
Our threshold is, if you're an individual, you must earn below, and you are employed, you must earn below 5,500.
Okay.
Yes.
Per day?
No, per month.
Okay.
So that's after tax. So what we do when you come to our office and you want to apply for legal aid, we ask for your pay slip. If you tell us you're employed, we ask for your pay slip. We ask for your bank statement, 3 months bank statement, pay slip, 3 months as well. So we can see and verify this information. Then from there you will be told whether you qualify for legal aid or you don't qualify.
Okay.
Remember, we have to also limit, and we also at the same time we have to limit the people that we allow access to this to these services, but also for us to be able to provide good quality service for the people who are considered the most disadvantaged. There has to be a way to quantify how these services are given, hence the means test. Because if we open it up to everybody, then that would mean we are going to be overwhelmed as officers. We won't be able to actually the input and the output won't be justifiable. The input will be too much and the output might not be that much. Even the quality might actually also be compromised, because now if we're saying here's the threshold, even if you're saying you are unemployed, in fact, we will ask for a bank statement to prove that you are unemployed. It's also important for me to also, while we're talking about the means test, to say, remember, the court is the guardian of children's rights. So where there's a matter relating to children, so if children are abused or a situation of that nature where a child needs representation, there is no means test when it comes to that child. The child automatically qualifies. It is also true for elderly people. Somebody might say they earn a grant from SASSA. You cannot look at that as an income if that's all they're getting. So those are the few things that in terms of the means test, I think are important for people to understand, that just because the mother is earning 20,000, for example, the child, you can't say that now the mother's earning 20,000, the child doesn't qualify. The child always qualifies at legal aid.
No. I vote for the threshold. I vote. No. You see, we need to draw the line here. Otherwise, we will over-exaggerate. I'm told there's a caller. Caller, you are on air.
Molweni kunjani bawo?
Qabaqabe Vinika skeva kwetata.
Nami ngumqabaqabe Vinika bawuthatha. Uthetha noPatko apha eAlvani.
Tatu Patko usemoyeni.
Ndiyabulisa napha kwindwende lakho kusisi usingapho. Ndinemibuzo nje embalwa mina ethi yami ne.
Okay.
Umbuzo wami wokuqala ne. Senikuqonda ukuba since legal aid board, especially kwindawo rural areas ne, bazibonakalisa kanjani ebantwini, ngoba abantu abaninji ababazi ukufana ukuthi uzababona mhlawumbi xa kuthiwa kubizwe imbizo ye-ward committee okanye ika-councillor okanye kwindawo leyo kuhlala kuyo, kukhona uzababona ukufana ukuthi uzabagqibela ubabona ibe ke ngokuphelela, especially kubantu abahlala ezilalini, because ibizwa once or twice ngonyaka imbizo.
Sivile tatu wesibini umbuzo.
Athi?
Wesibini umbuzo.
Umbuzo wami wesibini benifuna ukuqonda ukuba ingaba ngelika besithi bane office ingakumbi apha i-province i-branches eziyi-10 kunendawo ufumana ukuthi abafikeleli kuzo. Ngelika bengafikeleli, ngeyiphi into abaqinisekisa ngayo ukuthi kwaba bantu aba bayaya? Ngelika besiya ufumana ukuthi umuntu ubanjiwe and at the same time lo muntu lo uyile kubo, angafumani feedback as ufuna ukuthi lo muntu lo i-victim and then assistwa yi-legal aid, and then angafumani feedback kufanele kube nguye ngokuthwala inyawo zakhe ozayo kwabaka-legal aid yobuza ukuba ingaba ngoku i-case inendawo ningoku. Ndifuna uqonda okanye i-update ye-case. Izilo mibuzo nje emibini chief yami, ndiyabulela kakhulu.
Thank you very much, Ntate Patko, for the benefit of other listeners. Ntate Patko, all the way from Alwal North, would like to know how do we promote ourselves in some of the rural areas, because in most often you will see the services when there's imbizo, when everybody comes and then the next thing you disappear. The second question, in areas where you don't have offices, as you have rightly said, in some areas we have about 10, how do you reach the people there that require your services? Those are two questions. I don't know if we have another caller. Okay, we have another caller. Caller, you're on air.
Hello, I'm Tate Lennox.
Hello, Ntate.
Hi.
Yes, ki George ke funa ke le mo Atteridgeville.
Okay.
Le kopo butsisa first question aka ke mo Atteridgeville nka kra ka di officer legal aid.
Okay.
Around Atteridgeville or maybe Pretoria. And then second question, legal aid, and then if legal aid an attorney or lawyer or like I'm not a pick out and change maybe like
and then it's loud and clear, sir. Are those the two questions?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you to you, sir. Do we have another caller? Yes, the third caller. Caller, you're on air. Caller, you're on air.
Yes, evening. My name is Simon Kona. I'm listening through Radio Bushback Ridge.
Oh, Bushback Ridge. How are you, sir?
No, I'm super.
Great.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Oh, you change your voice when you talk to my guest. you change your voice. Okay, what's your question, sir?
Okay, I'd like to know, like, how often can one use the services of legal aid, or there are no limits?
Okay, that would be the first question. Do you have the other question?
No. That's all.
I hope you are not planning to. Our plan now, senior, every time to use the legal offices, legal aid. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Siswam, those are 4 very powerful questions. Let's start with Badco's questions. Okay, the ball is in your court.
Okay, can I, because uPatco uthethe ngesixhosa ngicela umphendula ngaso sizothetha into evakalayo.
Remember, Badco asked the question, you might have other million people who might be having the
also
same.
want to know.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of how do you show yourselves to disadvantaged communities, we have community outreaches in how many times? I'm not sure how many times we have them, but even in terms of our employment contracts, it's actually part of that we go into community outreaches and partake in those. So what happens with the community outreaches, we go to communities where we know we don't have offices per se, and we have booklets. We sometimes have t-shirts every now and then, where it's even sometimes we even had a matchbox where we would speak to people, hand out pamphlets to them, telling them where our offices are, telling them what our services are, explaining how legal aid works and the services that we offer. However, what we've seen happen most of the time is people are too scared to take that time, because what we do is we don't go to halls or stuff like that. We will put a gazebo in the middle of the road. If we can find in our like a taxi rank that's close by, we'll put a gazebo there and we'll have people standing in the streets handing out those pamphlets. So most of the time what we found was people are always in a rush and too busy to listen, but that's what we do. We go out to communities where we know we don't have offices, and we also show them if you need something and you need to get in touch with our office, you can call these numbers. We also have toll-free numbers that people can call. So the second one is, if there are no offices, how do people reach us? If you are in court, there's always a legal aid practitioner in each and every criminal court.
Wow.
I can guarantee that.
Ayiko indawo engena court.
So where there's a court, there is a legal aid practitioner. If you sit in court for long enough, you will know that person, because they're always in front and they take up 90% of the role. And the magistrates will actually tell people, if people are unrepresented, to say you have 3 rights. You can speak for yourself, you can ask for legal aid, or you can get a private attorney. So if there's a court, then in that court there is a legal aid practitioner. So it would just be a matter of going into court. Don't even be scared to talk to the court orderlies, because here's the thing, people find court scary, but we are all human. We go through things. We know we have family members who are not attorneys ourselves, who will call and say, I have this problem. So when you go to a court, feel free to find a prosecutor or find a clerk. If you're not seeing any attorneys, find out who's the legal aid practitioner in that court. Then that person would be able to give you information to say, okay, you want assistance with 1, 2, 3, 4. Our offices are here if you need to go to the office. For example, if it's a civil matter, a criminal attorney can only give you information to say our officers are here, because he can't or she can't give you information as to how that your matter can be resolved, because they will have knowledge, but they would have to sit down and have a consultation with you, a proper consultation, for them to get to a conclusion. So it would be better to go to an office, have a consultation, a sit down with somebody, whether it be a paralegal who will tell you at the face of it how and when your matter can be resolved, and move it to a legal practitioner who will say, okay, this is the plan of action we're going to take, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is always a legal practitioner in court.
I'm so satisfied. I'm sure Batko is as well. Now the third question.
In terms of it was George who was calling from Attridgeville and asking for our offices. In Attridgeville, we don't have offices. Our offices here in Pretoria are in Church Square, F&B building, 2nd floor. However, on Tuesdays, I think it's Tuesdays or Thursdays, I will confirm with my office, and we will send an email back here for them to confirm when exactly. But we have a paralegal who is based in Attridgeville. Besides the attorneys that are in the Attridgeville court, we have a paralegal who goes to Attridgeville with forms, we call them LA1s, where if you need legal aid, he will fill out a form with you, assist you, tell you if you meet the means test and all that information, so that you don't have to go to the office. You will only need to go to the office once it becomes it comes to that stage of you needing to consult. So we have people who go I think on Wednesdays we have in Mamelodi as well somebody who's designated by the office who doesn't go to the office, but we have little offices in these courts where somebody works from there to get people to apply for legal aid in those courts.
I know courts, colleagues, listeners, is not synonymous to malls. It will be a place where people are so not used to visiting. Now it's our time to turn our courts into people's centers. Gone are the days when you go to the court, you probably arrested if you are a black person. What are you doing invading the space of white people? So we are saying to you, there's a court in Attersfield. Find time, go there Wednesdays. You are likely to bump into this person with these LA forms. They will assist you. I'm very happy. I'm sure George from Attersfield is very happy. Another question that George was asking, can he change the one that was offered to him, the legal aid officer?
Remember, when we started, I said each court there's a legal practitioner. So you can't change.
You're stuck, Baba.
It's just a matter of you and the attorney trying to work on that relationship, because there are so many of us.
Good.
So each person is allocated a court.
Good.
The only time you are able to change is when the office itself changes that practitioner. However, if you have problems with a practitioner, it would be best for you to speak to that practitioner, see how you can resolve those problems. If those problems persist, then go to the office and see what can happen, because sometimes what happens is you might find that it's not a thing of the two of you are not understanding each other. But what I've seen happen with a lot of clients is, if I go and I have, let's say, a divorce matter, I will tell my neighbor that I had a divorce matter that was done by so and so. It took 2 months. My neighbor doesn't understand that in my divorce, let's say my children were over a certain age, there was nothing that we were actually fighting about with my husband. She just knows that the divorce was finished in 2 months. In her situation, there's a little child. Once there's a little child, a divorce will not just go by, because the court wants to know, okay, I don't care about you parents. What's going to happen to this child once you get the divorce? Because that divorce is literally changing the child's life around. So this child is used to mom and daddy staying up central. Now you're saying there's a divorce. That means there's either the house is going to get sold or something like that. So the court wants to know what's going to happen here. So now that already changes the dynamics, because there are other parties that need to get involved besides just the attorney. You see, so you'll find that sometimes we get to our attorneys with preconceived ideas. So the attorney is trying to do their work. You are standing in the way of the attorney because you know this matter in a different case was resolved like this. So sometimes you need to sit down from the word go and speak to each other, not over each other or through each other. Make sure that the two of you understand that this is how the process is going to work, because court is in itself is draining. It's not a process of you going in, coming out, everything is resolved. It takes time, and it depends on the matter as well. So that's what people don't understand, because I know it becomes frustrating because people look at the time. If you're in prison and you're sitting there for 6 months, you feel like nothing is happening, but you're seeing me going to court all this time. You don't understand these postponements and everything. So you must also remember, I might speak to you and think you understand. You must also take the initiative to say, Bongi, whoa, slow down. You are postponing, you are saying remand for 1, 2, 3, 4, further investigation, for example. What does that mean? You know, because sometimes, because we work with so many people, people's understandings are different. So take the time to also say, wait, explain this to me. You understand? Because that way you are creating a relationship between you and your attorney that makes it easy going. You can speak to each other anytime and you understand each other. So that's the best thing to do from the word go, to make sure that the relationship is good.
Bongi, I'm very happy. You see, Bongi, you did not only respond to the question, you anticipated so many questions that might arise out of that question. In fact, I think Karabo Bongi has to come and work here. She will do a very good radio job. Bongi, let's tackle Bushbuck's rich question. The question, if I remember well, how often can you utilize the services of the legal aid? That's why I even said to him, I hope you are not planning to be in conflict with the law several times because you don't have to pay.
Okay, the general rule is one client, one matter. So remember, I still haven't told you what services we offer.
I'm going there.
So
don't
once
worry.
we get to that, I'll be able to unpack this more. But we offer a number of services. So if you go for it, let's take an example. Divorce. If you go for a divorce, once we finalize that divorce, then we can deal, let's say, with your domestic violence issue as well. There are times where, of course, for example, you can't say, you're busy with the divorce, we can't do with your domestic violence issue. We also have to look at the matter that we are dealing with. For example, if it's a domestic violence matter, you would look at the person when they come for that consultation. You can't tell a person where you are seeing the damage that has already been done to go away because they have another matter pending. However, in matters like that, that's where now it will go to the head of the office to say, look, this person's got this matter and this matter and this and this and this and this matter. So she has the prerogative now to say, okay, we can allow more than one matter because of these reasons. You see, so we are not saying that you can't use our services more than once, but we prefer, remember, as already alluded to, these are government funds. So we don't want to fund one person now. You find that legal aid Pretoria is just running on so-and-so's cases only. That's not what we are trying to do. You see,
a company or personal office.
You see. So what we want is for people to access our services, but we also are mindful that some people will abuse those services. That's why we're saying, remember, when you fill in an LA1 form, it's captured on the system. So by me typing your surname and your name, I can already see how many matters you have on the system, and I am able to actually say, if it's not picked up by someone else, to say, oh, okay, this person has got 5 matters here. What are they? And then the office can sit down and see if this person actually needs and qualifies for all of them. We are able, legal aid can be withdrawn.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's all of that the office has to consider.
Okay, you are still tuned to this special broadcast brought to you by GCIS and the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. This is Let's Talk Justice. I'm told by Karabo there's another caller there. Caller, you're on air.
Hello, how are you?
Great, how are you, ma'am?
Thanks, and you?
I'm okay. So you're speaking to Nambolela from Tembisa.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, my question is, on a party, and then now the community is harassing our family because of a crime in the ING, and we've been calling Amapoisa, and we did a protection order, and there's nothing that is changing. So as which might face a situation in medicines in Jan, because after protection order we did call Amapoisa again, but there's nothing that is happening.
Okay, sis. Uthembani kamane sis wam?
Nombulelo.
Okay, sis Nombulelo, usisibongi, uvile question yakho. Was that the only question?
Yes.
Mamele rate and if you are not happy, ungaphinda ufone sis wam ne, but uzakuphendula sisibongi. We've got another caller. Caller, you're on air.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm well, thank you. I have a question, actually.
Okay.
And my question is, it's not about legal aid, but a legal one, what happened in NMB? Is it illegal? The way Asal was fired, does true legal aid help citizens actually to understand what happens in council? Again, politicians speak over our heads, and we don't understand what they we don't understand politics actually, because they speak on our heads.
Okay, Siswam. Is that the only question?
Yes, that's my only question. Actually, the way the NMP thing, the Nelson Mandela Bay thing, the way it was handled.
Okay. Siswam, we've heard you. We will try and see how we can respond to that. As you have correctly pointed out, it's not a legal aid question, but I'm not the one who's the attorney here. Sisbongi is here. She will find a way maybe to refer you to people who are special. Remember, this profession has specialization. You have people who specialize in that or that particular field. But I'm not taking anything away from her. She's going to respond. Thank you for the question. Do we have another question? Okay. Sisbongi, the first question.
Okay. Now, remember, a protection order is actually a court order. So once there's a violation of that court order, you go back to court because that person is in contempt of court. So you go back to court and you tell the court that, look, you granted me a protection order on such and such a date. Here's the order where you were telling this person not to do 1, 2, 3, 4. This person is still doing that.
But Siswam, the case here is umpagati, the community. It's a group of people. Apparently, the sister was in conflict with the law, and currently she's an inmate. And now the community, from time to time, they went out in this particular family, and they've been harassing them according to her, and they sought protection order. At intervals, it looks like the community would go and harass her according to her. What is her recourse? Because you're not dealing with an individual, you're dealing with a group of people. Yes.
Remember, a protection order has to be made against someone. it can't be just a protection order. So whoever that protection order is made against, that's who the court would be able to say, okay, it's this person. So now if you're saying it's a community, it would mean that when the protection order was gotten, you would have had to specify the people who were actually harassing you, and the only recourse would be against those people. So it would never be against the whole community. So whoever the protection order is against, those are the people that you can get recourse from the court against. So if it's a community, it becomes difficult, because I know unless when you went to court you explained the situation, but I don't think they would have made a protection order against the whole community, because not everyone in that community would be harassing. It would be a specific group. So in terms of that, you would have had to specify who those people harassing you are. Then the protection order against those people, you can go back to court to say, I would like to enforce this because they're going against it now. Then the court will...
For instance, you would have some pressure groups in communities, organization X operating from this particular community, and some of them, for the lack of a better word, fit the description of vigilantes. They will be that group of people. They are known is those people. They are calling themselves Bakabas or whatever you want to call them. These are the group of people, like as you would have a protection order against, let's say, a union that keeps on coming to toy in front of my building. So what if it's something like that? It's a group of people, it's an entity, pressure group that is known, that is doing this.
That would mean when the protection order was initially granted, it was granted against that entity. So you can enforce it against that entity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the other question by a caller, she declared it was not a legal aid related, but a legal question though. It's about the situation in Nelson Mandela Metro, where she believes what happened there was not kosher, was not constitutional. What would be the recourse of the people who feel aggrieved? Do you have any suggestion?
That's dabbling in politics a lot for me. I am not very well versed with politics. I know the basics of politics. It's a very political question from my point of view. You would have to look at the administration. You would have to start there, you see, before you even go to court, because here even the question in itself is very, it's open to a lot of interpretation. Because is she aggrieved because she feels like the mayor should not have been removed? Is she aggrieved because she doesn't like who they put in? I don't understand how she's aggrieved. So even that would play a role, but it would be more of I before it goes to court, it would be something that would be dealt with by the parties in themselves in terms of their administration. And then if it would go to court, then it would go probably, they would look at the constitutionality of it. If we're looking at constitutionality of anything, it goes to the constitutional court. But as I said, that's my personal opinion. It's not a legal opinion in any way, and my knowledge, as I'm saying again, is limited.
I hear you, Sisbongi, and deliberately so. As government, we tend to shy away from politics, because governments by nature would serve people across political spectrum. In government, you'll have people who belong in all sorts of political parties. That's why it is very prudent that as a government, we do not articulate any political related question That one is left to our principals, is left to our ministers. As government officials, we really, but all we can say, government and South Africa is a constitutional democracy. There's always recourse. Whether is trolley, whether is the caller, whether is people who feel that the process is leading to the way that he was removed from the office was not constitutional. All what we can say, South Africa is a constitutional democracy. They have recourse, they can go to court and find the redress. That's all we can say. Otherwise, we cannot articulate and say who was wrong, who was right. We still love our jobs. We shy away from politics. Maybe you can ask us that question after hours. Maybe we can give you our... Yes, I'm told if we are not happy, you can call again, caller. We have another caller. Caller, you're on air. Madume ndate. Kumunati ra. Kitsore ausbongi mo.
Usbongi dimela.
Tumel ndate.
Okay, dimela close. Ke sa pomo tlex do. Potso aka man ke batla go tla potso wane. Potso mo pele ke legal aid lawyers, can they represent fairly in terms of can I say they cannot represent us fairly because let's say Laura Patella cannot represent us fairly. The second one, in case in Yahore, can Tatele make a divorce and Tatuna his own attorney said parties. Then no user legal aid. If I use legal aid, case Yahari because of legal aid khona go representa kitsa di winner bola ka khona go winner ka legal aid ndate ena la lawyer tsa re tsa dipatelang ntse dipatela kitsa teng ga khona go winner go khoto mme ka lawyer tsa legal aid board.
Okay, okay, the first question, putso yako, the first question, you want to know if legal aid attorneys or advocates have the capacity to represent people in all the cases?
Yeah, fairly, like
fairly, yes.
Yeah, like fairly.
Okay, so right. Yeah.
I give the case against state. They can't represent us fairly or
fairly. Okay, operational word fairly. Okay,
yeah,
now Yabubedi, the second question. Uri legal. The second question.
The second question is, in case of divorce, you can't tell me that is. He said his own attorney Patelang.
Yes.
And then no user legal aid.
Yes.
Is it winnable? Like I win a court.
Oh yeah. Can the legal aid lawyer match the commercial lawyer? Okay. Is there another question?
And then the other one, while in 10 weeks, like today, I think a like why you group thing like news of Matsobane, news of Telesop, news of someone about Zainaba, I use this vulgar language. I don't have one like I had to hit someone who no, all women around Telesop head office. So that case is can you open the case because I beat up on make idea to his headquarters someone. At that case you got bula case
okay.
And then the other one I want just to clarify because let them respect men so that men can respect them. I'm saying this because I saw previous days in the committee meeting. No fella, I am a fella about it. I'm not afraid of men. So those things, there's no one who can stand that women. So I don't know if I come to but now, let the women respect men so that men can respect them. And again, let women respect one another. I respect when a couple born. When a couple born, he said to fight one another. All those things. Let the women respect one another and let the women respect men so that men can respect them.
All the way from Klerksdorp, Danky. We will try and answer you. Another caller, you're on air, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Evening, sir.
The presenter, what's your name, please?
The presenter is Bongi. Just say Bongi.
Hi, Bongi.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, you, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you, sir.
Now, I know you are the guest. I was actually asking the presenter what his name was.
No, it's a secret.
No, sir, we'd like to honor you, you know.
Thank you, sir. This is Lennox.
Lennox, you've been doing a great job. The way you conduct the interview speaks with so much sincerity and so much passion, and it comes across on the airwaves of Worcester FM 89.2 in the Western Cape. Thank you for the very informative show.
Thank you, sir. My boss Karabo sitting that side, I'm sure he's listening. Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. My question to the honored learned guest there, Ms. Bongi, I'd like to know if you, as the Legal Aid South Africa, are planning on doing some drives in rural areas like Worcester, where people I see are sitting in front of SASSA offices every end of the month. They're sitting at home affairs, long queues, and people are calling our radio stations and our current affairs programs, and there's a lot of people, especially in the farming communities, who need these educational drives. Are there any plans by Legal Aid South Africa to do community outreaches?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Is that the only question?
That is the only question I'll listen on the radio.
Thank you, sir. All the way from Worcester. Thank you. Karabo, do we have another question? We've got another question. Caller, you're on air. Hello, caller.
Wena bhuti njani?
Siright kunjani sisi wami?
Siphilile. Yazi ngicela ukubuza apho otata ababamthetho ukuba mina ndive kuthiwa enkundleni namhlanje uba umama lo ubathabile edlamini abamholdi liable for la ngxaki eyenzeka pha eSASSA. But mina as a citizen ndibe inconvenience kakhulu bhuti. Ndihlala ndodwa apha nomakhulu kodwa mna kumele uba ndisebenzise le mali. So mna I feel ukuba la decision it was unfair. So ke ngoku amagqwetha eziyi-citizen angandinceda njani?
Ngicela ukubuza ufuna ubopha uminister Bathabile Dlamini?
No.
Ufuna umvalele?
Ewe kakuhle bhuti.
Okay. Ake ukumamele usisibongiwe uzokucebisa enkosi. Is that the only question?
Iphelele tata apho ibulela kakhulu.
Enkosi swam. Karabo, do we have another caller? Okay. Sisibongiwe, couple of questions really. One, dealing with the capacity of the legal aid practitioner, obviously matched against the commercial, so to speak. And two, a man represented by an attorney, commercial, one by legal, who is going to win? KKCR, Sundowns, Nekesa Chiefs. And we know who's going to win. The other one, it was just an advice that let's respect one another without any logical or sequencing. Please, first, here are the questions.
Okay, number one, we need to deal with the fact that, remember, we're attorneys. That means we went to the same universities, did the same LLB degree. Just because I work for legal aid, you need to understand that the wealth in legal aid. You have people who have worked in private practice for 10 years and then went to legal aid. So when we're talking about people from legal aid, it's not like they pick people from the street. There are levels, like in any other organization, where you will find the juniors, you'll find people who've been there for a little while, and you will find those people who have the experience. So remember, with law, it's about persuasion and understanding your client and understanding the subject matter that you're dealing with. At Legal Aid, there are lots of resources. Besides the books, the internet and everything, there's a well of knowledge. You can go and ask anybody if you are new in the field for advice. You have people who have done different things as private attorneys. So it's not a competition. We are saying that we are giving free legal services. We are not competing with people who are in the private sector. But I need you to understand that we are all attorneys, so we are all on par. The only difference is that legal aid, you need to understand, just because legal aid is a government entity, I get paid a salary just like a private attorney. The difference is a private attorney has to work for his salary. Mine is through the government, but I still have to work for that salary. When I do something, so if I'm appearing in court, there's somebody who would have said, oh, okay, let's see these files. What is happening in these files? You don't just take something and just go to court. There are systems in place. So there is no competition. We are all colleagues. We are brothers and sisters. So there's no private attorney legal aid. Legal aid is there, remember, because people cannot, it's there for the people who cannot afford a private attorney. So there is no clauses to what's different. It's all attorneys. Number two, the question about a divorce against a legal aid attorney and a private attorney. A divorce is not a competition. A divorce is a compromise between two parties who cannot agree, who no longer want to stay together. So what a divorce does is the two attorneys sit down, communicate with one another and say, okay, you want the house, I want the cars. You want this, I want this. Remember, these people also remember with, before I go into this, with a divorce, you have to look at the marital regime. If it's out of community of property, then you wouldn't even need attorneys, because whatever you came in with is yours, whatever I came in with is mine. It's just the formalities. So there is no competition of a private attorney and a legal aid attorney. The point is that this marriage needs to get dissolved. We have to agree on how we're going to do that.
Mrs. Swam, in less than few seconds, it will be rude not to respond to these questions. We are not going to take any other question. Already the program is over. You know, time runs when we're enjoying. I'm looking at you. I can see you are rolling, man. You are having fun. Now, Siswam, there was a question that has to do with vulgar language. Can someone lay a charge against you? And the other one is Worcester outreach program in Worcester. Leave that one of Mathabile Dlamini, Minister Mathabile Dlamini, to me. Okay. I would want you to keep on practicing. I wouldn't want you to be involved in such things. Now, just those two questions, if you can respond quickly.
Yes, in terms of vulgar language, yes. It would depend on how that vulgar language is, because that would fall sometimes within harassment, if you think about it. It's funny, because when I was doing another show where I was talking about domestic violence, this whole thing that guys do of ufleita, you know, that that actually forms part of sexual assault, apparently. So you know, it would depend on how it's done, but it would form part of harassment per se, because every time this person sees you, we are togana. So that one. And in terms of Worcester, we as legal aid, we do community outreaches. It's as I've already said, it's dependent on the centers. We all have centers, as I've already said, so many centers and places. So they look at communities and a place will be chosen. Maybe where we are failing is advertising our outreaches, because maybe a lot of people don't know where our outreaches are. But we are even getting better at that, because we now have a Facebook page. So maybe we will get into putting up when the outreaches are, so people know, because I think that's what the problem is. We do run community outreaches, and as I've already said, it's not run in the most convenient places. We'll target places that we know the people, the target market that speaks to legal aid would be at. So that would be around maybe if we see a taxi rank, we know there's a lot of people coming in and out. That would fall within the means test that we already spoke about. So you can also go to a legal aid office and find out from them if they have any outreaches planned. You can go on our Facebook page page. We've also got toll-free lines where you can find out information about our services in terms of where we are based, the offices are based, and so that you are able to also go want the information for yourself, because sometimes we don't know the information that is already out there about our office, and sometimes we might think a lot is out there but people don't know.
On that note, we are getting to the end of our program, but let's give Bas Usisbongi just a parting note. I know there's a question I did not ask her. For very, very few seconds, just say whatever you wanted to say, messages and everything.
Thank you so much for this opportunity once again. I would like to give you some of our contact information as legal aid. We have a toll-free legal aid advice line, which is 0800 110 So it's toll free. You can ask any questions. They will advise you there, and if you need to go to an office, they'll let you know. We have a Twitter page, which is Legal Aid SA1. We're also on Facebook as Legal Aid SA. So if there's something that you feel I might have missed and you need information on the office, you can communicate with us on any of these platforms, and I can guarantee you there is somebody who's going to respond.
Thank you very much. On that note, we have come to the special broadcast already. You know, you can tell there's so many issues we need to tackle. I did not even scratch the surface. Department of Justice, please come again. Let's exhaust this. It's very, very important. You know, who has been tilting and panning our camera to the fly's planes? But I don't think I'm ready to jump into his plane yet. But I promise one day I will do that. We've come to the end of our program, and to Usisi Wamu, who's planning to lay a charge again against Minister Mathabathe Dlamini. All what we can say to you, Usisi Wamu, remember South Africa is a constitutional state or democracy. You know, all is given or is left to the law has pronounced. It is not correct, I want to believe, to favor pronouncements that favor you and undermine those that do not favor you, because that screams law of the jungle. You know, law of the jungle protects the strong and undermines the weak. And some of us are weak. We need the Constitution, we need the court to protect us. I can assure you, Sisiwam, you can never undermine the court of law, because tomorrow it's going. What do you say to those that won't be happy about that? Court of law should be respected. It is there to protect you. Until we meet again next week, same time, from me, Lennox Class, and Sisbongi. Sisbongi, I hope you are going to join us again when we are going to resolve this issue. Tate Karabo, it's bye.